Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of September 2024. I hope you are well. I'm using the Night Sun Tarot for you today. Here it is. So a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. Because I'm using the Night Sun Tarot and this deck is replete with nudity, it tends to trigger the AI bots, which then decide that this video is not suitable for people unless you sign in. So if any of aforementioned nudity shows up, I'm going to cover it up pretty quickly with something, just so you know that's what I'm doing, not doing something weird. That's the purpose behind it. The other things to tell you are that if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is link number 1 in the description box below this video. Link number 2 is to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix over on the Circle platform. You can get access to all of the extended content for all of the signs for no extra cost beyond the membership fee, and hang out with a really extraordinary group of people. So if that's something that sounds like it might be of interest to you, you know what to do with those links. So, Cancer, I'm just going to shift this deck out of the way because you don't need to see that. Let's flip the camera around and see what's going on with you. Could I have 3 cards for Cancer, please? Well, how interesting. I actually saw this while I was idly shuffling before I started the reading, and I did think she was going to put in an appearance. She is in the reverse, though. So, Queen of Swords, Libra, in the Minor Arcana. Where are we at? Where are we at? Current energy for Cancer, please. Thank you. We have more reversals. We have the Strength card reversed and we have the Ten of Wands reversed. Interesting. Okay. And what's coming towards Cancer for September, please? Oh. It's another fucking reversal. It's face down on the floor so I can't see what it is. Ugh. We've got the Two of Cups reversed. Right, this is a lot of reversed energy. It's probably worth bearing in mind at this point, and there you are, interestingly, at the bottom of the deck, that although Mercury may have gone direct, and it is direct at the time of recording this, it's still subject to its own shadow period, where it's catching up to where it was before it started going retrograde. And it moves quite slowly. So we're not quite out of the woods yet as far as Mercury retrograde is concerned, but we do have a significant number of other planets in retrograde. And yeah, it's never just about Mercury. Pluto is currently retrograde on its way back into Capricorn, which will happen actually just in a few days, and it'll stay in Capricorn for 79 days before moving back into Aquarius. What else is retrograde? Obviously Saturn is retrograde. Do we not have a Mars retrograde coming up soon? I think we do. I'm not quite sure when that is, though. There's a lot of retrograde energy around at the moment, so seeing reversals is not uncommon during this time, and it isn't something to panic about. However, everything that is on the table here is looking for some sort of reassessment, I would say. So I'm going to get this Waite Smith deck out here and get some clarifiers out on the table, and then we'll start going through it. Figuratively speaking. Right, tell me about the Queen of Swords, please. Why is that here? So we have the Strength card in the upright, and we also have the Queen of Wands. Tell me about the Strength card reversed, and the Ten of Wands. We've got the Seven of Pentacles. We've got the Hanged Man. You can see why this would be relevant. And we've got the King of Cups, Scorpio energy. Tell me about this Two of Cups in the reverse, please. We have... Yeah, right, okay. Right, I can't really put too fine a point on it. With the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Two of Cups in reverse, we've got the Death card and the World card clarifying this. Like, something is coming to an end for you this month. And the thing is, I think for most of you, that this is really important in either asserting yourself or bringing some part of your identity back to yourself, some sort of autonomy and control back over your life. Or it really is just time to call time on something that you've been involved with. because it's time for you to move on. Like this much reversals, these many reversals on the table are saying like things have gone as far as they can go on this current trajectory, and it's time to stop and take stock. And in fact, we see that echoed right across the reading. So let's start over here. So I've got a pencil. I have no idea where my selenite is, so I'm having to resort to whatever I've got to hand. It's either a lighter or a pencil or something, you know. Anyway, I'm just trying to tidy up so you're not getting distracted by the other stuff that's hanging around. There we go. Get this like this. So we start with this Queen of Swords. In the upright, well, or even in the reverse, actually, she represents the sign of Libra, which may or may not be important to your current circumstances. I feel like she's much more of an energy for you, and she is the energy of making sense of what we think about a given situation, right? What her strong suit is processing vast amounts of information very, very quickly, looking always for the truth of the situation, the truth of the matter, and from there I feel like she hands over what she has learned to the King of Swords, who then makes a decision based upon that. The fact that she's showing up in the reversed here can indicate a number of things. The first being that you don't have all of the information. You don't actually have enough of the information to really make sense of what you think about whatever situation we may be referring to, and it'll be slightly different for each of you, so I don't want to hypothesize too much on that. It can indicate that you have got all of the information, but you haven't actually sat down and put it all together yet. That's another way of looking at this. It could be that there is something that you are seeing but refuse to see, or refusing to factor the truth of a particular situation into your thinking about things. Or, and I'm afraid this is true, I do see this as true for the whole court hierarchy, that where they show up in the reverse, certainly in the sword suit, that what we've got going on is somebody who is not dealing in truth, but in fact dealing with the opposite here, right? So I don't feel like this is you, Cancer. I feel like this is someone that you are dealing with, right? And so possibly somebody who is withholding something from you, or someone who is sort of invested in making sure you don't have access to all of the information for one reason or another. I mean, like I said, there is the possibility that there are things that you have not put together, there are things that you have not seen yet, but everything about this situation seems to be, you know, advancing you towards a truth that was not on the table, whether by connection or by, you know, a verbal stating. Connection in your own mind, or somebody verbally stating it to you. But then we have the Strength card and the Queen of Wands here. Now, this feels to me a little bit like charging ahead, forging ahead, trying to get on top of things with all of the things that I've just talked about at play, right? So not all of the information on the table, not all of the truth of a situation on the table. The Strength card here for me, and the Queen of Wands, they're looking away from each other. It's kind of like, well, I'm just gonna carry on, and it'll all be fine. It'll work its way out in the wash. It'll, you know, everything will come to light in time. And it's like, well, actually, there's a little spot of obliviousness in between these two cards. That is no reflection on your own personal strength, and it's no reflection on the integrity of the actions that you are taking. But this reversed Queen of Swords, with this reversed air thing here, seems to want to insert herself in here to make sure that you don't really have the full facts of the matter. Now, whichever way you cut it, that's not a cool place for someone to be. And I feel like there's a lot here that's going to unravel. Perhaps it started already. And if it hasn't, it's going to be starting soon. Tell me about this Strength card and Queen of Wands. We have two cards. Now, isn't that interesting? We have the Seven of Cups and the Five of Cups. Now, I hate to put this out, but we've also got the Ten of Swords sitting underneath here. Now, is this an ending that you are not currently ready to accept? Is this something that's ending underneath you, and you, because you don't have all of the information about this yet, you don't see it coming, or you refuse to allow yourself to see it coming? The Seven of Cups is about confusion. It is also about illusion. The illusion of our deepest desires, and how they can quite often cloud our judgment in any given situation. Again, something that we might see in reversed air sign court hierarchy cards, so like a lack of discernment, a lack of judgment. But we've got the Five of Cups here too. Now, that's a Scorpio card, as indeed the Seven of Cups is. We're talking about very, very deep-seated emotions. But we are also talking about Scorpio, and it's quite interesting that it makes this, well, here and here, King of Cups, Death card. There's a resurgence of Scorpio energy over here, but it's much more powerful than where we find you right now. Like making decisions and taking actions that are based either on things that you don't know, things that you simply hope to be true, or coming from a place of loss or fear of loss. The Seven of Cups and the Five of Cups here could possibly be somebody trying to keep something from you because they know there's going to be an emotional reaction. And for whatever reason, whether good or ill, the intent behind it, they could be looking to protect you from something, or they could be attempting to hide something from you so that you stay where you are and you do not do anything else. I mean, the Five of Cups is loss. Quite simply, it is loss. But I'm troubled by the way these two very strong fire element archetypes here are not looking in the same direction. Right? Strength's looking over this way, and maybe we've got strength of the past and strength of previous situations that you've been through before and believed you've broken a cycle on. And we've got the Queen of Wands, who is looking to the future and deciding, what she's going to do. There's action being taken in both cases. But neither of them are looking at what is going on right now. Like that space in between, like I said, that kind of space of obliviousness right there. So when we come into your current energy, we have Strength reversed and we have the Ten of Wands reversed. And this is, as ever readings are, this is incredibly interesting because the Strength card reversed can speak to either something that is effectively reductive about our own personal power and how we are showing up in the world, right? So we think that we're coping and we think we're doing really well, but there's something akin to spiritual emotional bypassing that's happening, right? Because it's a part of us that is, well, not dealing with all of the, not available. The information is simply not available in the way that we thought we had everything nailed. Or it can talk to a sense of disempowerment, whichever way it is showing up here for you. The fact remains that there is no growth here. There is no expansion here, personal or otherwise. Now, the Ten of Wands often is considered to be an uncomfortable card. In the Night Sun Tarot, Fabio Lastrani has made it look like something that over the course of time, Saturn in Sagittarius as it is, we have learned to turn what is burdensome to us into somewhat of an art form, right? Where people look at us and they go, wow, I don't know how they coped with all of those things. We make the burden look easy. But it's a bit like an iceberg, right? People only see the top 10% of it. They have no idea of the 90% of effort that's gone into getting ourselves to that place of equilibrium. So it changes then from being a negative card into something that is really quite positive, right? These wands having been fashioned into 2 stars that can be easily picked up and carried around and whatnot. But here the card is reversed. Now that feels to me like it's not giving that positive interpretation. It's not giving that positive vibe of, we've mastered this. Saturn is blessing us and saying, right, you've worked hard enough on that. I'll allow you to move on. It's like something about this is keeping you stuck, and something about this is of a pattern that you've been looking to break. Now, what's unclear to me, and perhaps this would be clearer to you, Cancer, is which way round this strength reversed is showing up for you. Whether it is a feeling of disempowerment, whether it is a feeling of not being on top of your shit, not being sovereign, not being the authority in your own life, not being engaged with something that feels like it has the potential to grow limitlessly, but instead having the feeling that we've kind of reached the end of some sort of cul-de-sac unexpectedly, something that we thought would have a cut through to another road, and we're like, well, like literally I can go nowhere, right? The houses are in a horseshoe, there's no little snicket, there's nothing that we can move through, and we're like, fuck, we need to backtrack some sort of, in some way or another. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be a blend of both. Something here is delaying an end in your current energy. It is making more work for you. It is making things more burdensome. It is feeling a little less like an art, a physical art that we can, deftly weave stars out of, and something that is a bit more kind of crippling here in this moment. Particularly if this has been something that's been bubbling away for a while, and for whatever reason you did not see it because you could not see it at that point. Now, in these sorts of situations, it's very easy to lapse into self-criticism and judging ourselves and stewing about things, right? My Venus is in Cancer, so I know what it's like to stew, right? We retreat into our armoured outer shell and we'll sit there and just fume about it, or nurse a broken heart, or do any of these things, right? But we do it away from people. This I do not think is a very useful tactic for you this month, because it's all about growth and expansion, recognizing where there isn't any, and rather than taking that into yourself as some sort of fault of yours, or a situation whereby we're blaming somebody else for it, but realize that the exposure of this as an issue contains also within it the solution to our problem, because we've got the Seven of Pentacles there. It's like something about this picture is wrong, something about this relationship, this partnership, this thing that I'm involved in. It's not going to give me what I want, right? And whether that's because it's been obscured from you deliberately, whether the intent is good or whether the intent is not good, it's not given you everything that you needed so that you could forge forward in the way that you wanted to. I'm inclined to believe. What am I inclined to believe? I think there is something moderately untruthful about the behaviour of somebody around you. But I think the thing that is going to be the biggest thing for you, that's going to lead you to be kicking yourself, is the fact that actually, in retrospect, the signs were all there. It was just a failure of connection, pulling together all of the information so that you could process it for what it is. I mean, for some of you, it will be a refusal to do that. No, I know what I want. I know what I'm emotionally invested in. This is it. All problems can be ironed out later on. It's not a problem. I feel like here you're kind of looking back and going, oh, it was a fucking stupid thing to do that. And we've all had those moments where we're like, we see where we inputted into a gap what we wanted to see rather than what was there. To it, then I feel like the Seven of Pentacles is exceedingly useful, because it brings it down to the brass tacks of what is right in front of you. It's like when it comes down to it, do I want to be involved in this anymore? The thing with the Seven of Pentacles is the fact that despite how healthy these pentacles look on this edition of the card, which has been subject to, many recolorations over the years and whatnot, this plant is dying. This plant is wilting. It's not actually giving the yield that we expected. So we've got these twin themes of a level of investment that has occurred so far versus what we hoped to get out. And we end up thinking, what is abundantly clear is that this is not a situation where inaction is really an option. We can either resolve to invest more into this and hope that at some point the plant picks up and then it starts kicking out more pentacles, or we can realise what has gone wrong, cut our losses, and start again next year, right? Do it with what we've learned better. When the Seven of Pentacles shows up, it's an acknowledgement that something is wrong. We may not always know exactly what it is, but it's not right. Many ways for things to be right, many ways for things to be wrong, but we can see that it isn't really ticking the boxes of anything that could be right at this point. Usually for me, when the Seven of Pentacles shows up in the reverse, that's the point where we've absolutely nailed what the issue is. And I'm not sure that I see that here yet. But we've got this very passive Pisces card here of the Hanged Man. Remember what I said before, right? Saturn is in retrograde in the sign of Pisces right now. I don't know if I mentioned that Saturn was in Pisces, but it is. But also, possibly more importantly for you, we have Neptune in Pisces. And that's a placement. It's going to sit there until next year, actually, on the 29th degree of Pisces. Having the effect of luring more and more of us into a distorted view of reality, which would be absolutely, opposite to the energy of the Queen of Swords, who is only interested in reality and only interested in objective truth, not subjective truth. And perhaps there is then this Saturn, double Saturn quality about what you're experiencing right now, right? When you turn yourself upside down and look at things from a different perspective, you see things that you did not see before. For a lot of you, I do feel like it's seeing what you wanted to see rather than what actually was. But we, like I said, I cannot exclude the possibility that somebody has deliberately deceived you. Now, no Cancer I know on earth is going to deal with that well. They're not going to laugh that off, right? There's some things that you just don't do. You don't lie to water signs, because they will find you out eventually and they will hold a grudge. Every single one of you water signs do that. And those are kind of the rules of engagement with a water sign. Like, you show up correct or you don't show up at all. I think it's a perfectly good boundary to have for you water signs, actually. But we've got this energy of of Pisces, and this energy of Scorpio, who are both giving you a different perspective on the situation that you are in. Like, you're here and you're right in the middle of it. But Pisces is on one side as, mutable water, double-bodied water, however you want to call it. And on the other side, you've got fixed water. He's going, nah. Both of them seem to be trying to assist you identify not just what is wrong in front of you right now, but how you got there in the first place, and simultaneously how you can get out of it again. Both of them asking you to look at things from a different perspective, but also lean into your emotions, which you have spent so long now, years, really learning to master. I always think the King and the Queen of Cups are the epitome of the cups suit, right? It's not just the King. The King is the active expression of water and the energy of water, but the Queen is the passive expression of that, and both of them sit together in balance, in alignment. What we've got here is your feelings and your actions lining up. Where there may have been distortion, that distortion disappearing, and where perhaps the grip on reality has been a little loose. That's interesting. Kind of being able to grab it with both hands and pull it back to where it needs to be without losing yourself in the process, right? Without falling into some sort of hole of darkness, where where things look bleak. Because what's more important to you than anything else is truth. And maybe we can extrapolate from that honesty and integrity too. But this feels like one of those situations where once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's a certain response that is necessary from you moving forwards. One that is in alignment with the principles that you hold yourself to and you hold others to too. That just simply will not allow you not to act. Something has to be different, something has to change. Because quite frankly, you value yourself and your principles too much to hang around over here with someone who would seek to deceive. Now, I mean, like I said, this is Libra, this is Aries, this is Leo. It's possible that one of those signs may be important for you, either because it's somebody that you're dealing with, or it's, I don't know, your rising sign or your moon sign or something like that. And then we have Pisces and Scorpio here and Leo here again. But I feel like I need to say to you, although maybe I don't need to say to you, like, you're worth so much more than this. Like, why are you hanging around here? In this space, whether it's because somebody is being deliberately dishonest with you, or there's something about the space that you find yourself in where you are having to be deliberately dishonest and maybe not sitting in your integrity just to be able to participate in. It's really interesting. Because then when we move into September, we've got the Two of Cups. Now, I said straight from the off, like, something is ending this month, and there's no doubt in my mind at all about that. You know, the Two of Cups quite often represents an established relationship, or any kind of relationship. Now, this can be the one that you have with your spouse. It can be a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, girlfriend, day friend, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's about the level of intimacy that is experienced in that state, right? But it can also speak to people who have some sort of partnership with you, some sort of relationship with you that's a little bit further out. So, you know, your friends, your work colleagues, siblings, cousins, people like this. And we can even start moving into things like business partners and all this sort of stuff. Like, there is some sort of relationship that you have going on at the moment that is not in accordance with your values and who you are and what you've learned about yourself over the last few years. I mean, there was a point where if I talked about a relationship breakdown for Cancer, I know I had a strong awareness that it would trigger something that would not feel very comfortable for Cancer, right? And they would probably sit in that for quite a long time, right? It's going to take them a long time to get over it. Here, with you, I don't actually feel the same thing. I feel like what you stand for is too important for you to allow yourself to be in this situation anymore. So whether this is with a person, whether this is a relationship of direct means, or whether it is something about the circumstances and the situations where you find yourself, perhaps even with, you know, an employer, where you're like, I'm doing a fucking job that I hate. I literally hate this job. I hate all aspects of this job. I mean, maybe you stop working, for example, remotely, and you're like, I need fucking people. I cannot just sit at home on my computer all day. I'm going insane. Like, there's something here about what your core principles are and what you know that you need to be successful and to be happy and to be fulfilled that is not being met by the environment that you find yourself in right now. So whilst this could represent the breakdown of a marriage or the breakdown of some sort of, you know, intimate relationship, it could quite equally speak to you going, you know, I'm done with this job, right? I'm done with... maybe I'm done with not having any intimate relationships at all. I mean, that's another way we can look at this sort of situation. But there's something really important about you taking a stand for your own emotional needs this month and being forced into it by a sudden awareness of information that you were not privy to before, whether that's coming from inside you or whether that's coming via somebody else, because the Death card and the World are both cards of endings. Right? Transformations, yes, in both cases, because everything in the tarot is cyclical. So we never go into just empty space, right? When something ends, something rushes in to meet it. In the case of the World card, what rushes in to meet it is the Fool, right? It's that open, it's the space that you create to go explore, to be free, to initiate something new. In the case of the Death card, what rushes in to meet it is temperance, balance and equilibrium and healing. Dare I say, even alchemical transformations of pain and hardship and suffering into something really fucking meaningful that instructs you on your next move forward. For you to have two cards come out that imply those big endings, but also the possibility of those big new beginnings under this card here, it means that everything's about to change. Cancer. Tell me about the Death card and the World card. Oh, for fuck's sake. Every time. So we have the Eight of Pentacles and we have the Two of Cups in the upright now. And we have the Page of Wands with the Star. All right. One thing ends, indeed, so that something else can begin. Like I said, this might be drawing an end to a relationship so you can go and find one that actually resonates with you on this higher level that you find yourself. But maybe it's about withdrawing yourself from a situation so that you are free to go find those relationships that are meaningful for you, that you can commit to, that are frankly just not in evidence here where you are. The Star card is a card of Aquarius, and it's one that speaks of it speaks of the future. It speaks of hope to me more than anything else, and it does have also other meanings of healing and whatnot. But ultimately for me, the Star card is the card of connection. Wherever you are right now, something in it's not connecting with you the way that it should be. It doesn't mean what it should do. It is in fact disempowering you, and it is in fact holding you back. And for whatever reason, you have not seen that, not to its fullest extent. So both of these cards are talking about drawing an end to this situation here, to release yourself, to go commit to the possibility of finding it out there. Hope, connection, hard work, discipline, commitment, though, huge commitment to a new kind of relationship, and allowing you to here's the thing, the Page of Wands is I think he's excited. I always feel like the Page of Wands is excited, right? There are new experiences to have out there, and all we have to do is let go of our attachment to the ones that we're in order to go experience that. Now, do I think that all of you are going to call time on a marriage or something like that? Absolutely not. Well, not all of you are married for a start. But for some of you, this is relationships. A friend, business colleague, a work friend, your boss. Maybe it's even siblings and stuff. Like, why am I anchoring myself to this when I'm not getting what I need? When there's a whole world of people out there that I just haven't met yet. Like, for me, this is the epiphany moment. This is the spark of realization. I mean, quite likely with these two coming up together here. Notice that we've got the Page of Wands underneath there and the Knight of Cups, interestingly here. These two coming together are like the truth of your own emotional needs, right? The truth that you get to decide what you're doing with your life. You're not actually really subject. You shouldn't be subject to what other people are telling you should be doing, and particularly not if there is dishonest aspect to what they're doing. it's like the Page of Wands is that sudden realization that there are vistas that are open for you if you are just brave enough to start walking towards them. Get excited about it, because something much more meaningful and much more committed is up there in the future, whether this is a new business partnership, whether this is just a new social network, you know, a new emotional support network, a new job, something like that. We could see job with the Eight of Pentacles. You've just got to choose to end what isn't working now. And this is really interesting. So I'm going to go over to the extended now. We're going to dig into these energies here. If you'd like to join me, I'd be delighted to see you. You can do that either at Vimeo or over on Circle. I'm going to really dig into that, because one of the things that strikes me here is like, why did it take so long for you to notice? We'll talk about that. If that's not your bag, that's fine, but just notice the signs as they're coming up, because I really do feel like it's one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And this in and of itself is releasing you from something that you did not realize you were tied to. And there's a there's a buoyancy that comes off the back of this realization. I'm amused because I was just shown it was literally like an inflatable crab. You know when you grab a beach ball and you pull it under the water and then you let go and it kind of just fires up and then bounces, like literally an inflatable crab version of one of those. It just tickled me a little bit. There's a buoyancy, there's a freedom that comes with it that could see you ending September actually in a state of elation versus where you are right now. Because right now you might feel like you've just been pickling on okay and it's all right. Maybe there are a few things that are not quite okay with your situation, but like this feels like a massive upswing, and it all starts in here, recognizing your worth. And I'm being like, I could just not do this. I could go do something else that would be better. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop chuntering on. I am actually going to go and get my pumpkin out of the oven because I've left it roasting in there. But I should be right back for the extended, for those of you who are following me over there. So, know that I love you all very, very much. And I'll see you soon.